Okay, just imagine this for a second. You walk into your basement and you hear it, that little drip that's turned into a full-on gush. Water is absolutely everywhere. The panic you feel is real. But here's the thing. What you do in these next few hours can literally be the difference between a manageable fix and a total catastrophe. So let's unpack what really needs to happen and the hidden science that decides if a flood is just an inconvenience or a complete disaster.
Yeah, it's pretty much the scenario every single homeowner dreads, right? That sinking feeling you get when you find water where it is not supposed to be. It's not just about the mess. It's the start of a whole chain of critical decisions you've got to make, and you've got to make them fast. So, let's put you right in that moment. A pipe just gave way, the water is rising. What is your first move? Honestly, knowing the answer to this before it ever happens is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about.
All right, so here's the playbook, the expert-approved checklist. First thing, and this is a big one, if it's safe, you've got to stop the water at its source. Then, get any valuables you can to a dry spot and, don't forget this, start snapping photos of everything. You'll need them. Next, you're going to make two very important phone calls, one to your insurance agent and the other to a certified restoration company. And please, this is a huge safety warning. Never ever use a regular shop vac or household vacuum on water. It is a massive electrocution risk.
The second you hang up from those calls, a clock starts ticking. You are officially in a race against an enemy you can't even see. And trust me, this is a deadline you do not want to miss.
This is the number that matters more than anything else right now. 24 to 48 hours. This isn't just about getting rid of the water you can see pooling on the floor. It's the absolute critical window you have to stop a much, much bigger problem from grabbing a foothold in your home.
And here is exactly why that window is so important. Mold. This stuff can start growing on wet drywall, inside your insulation, and in your carpet in as little as a single day. And once it starts, it is a whole different, much more complicated, and frankly, much scarier problem to solve. But you know, there's another crucial piece to this puzzle that the pros see immediately. It turns out not all water is created equal. They don't just see a flood, they see a very specific type of threat. And that's what guides their entire plan of attack.
So, water gets broken down into three categories. Category 1, that's clean water. Think a burst supply line. The health risk is minimal. Then there's Category 2, or gray water. This is from something like a washing machine overflow. It's got some contaminants in it. And finally, you have Category 3, black water. This is the bad stuff. Sewage backup, storm flooding. It's full of serious pathogens and requires a completely different level of response.
And get this, here's another one of those hidden dangers. Water moves. It doesn't just sit there. Think about how a paper towel soaks up a spill, right? That's called capillary action. Well, the exact same thing happens inside your walls. The drywall acts like a straw, wicking that moisture upwards and outwards, deep into those hidden spaces where mold absolutely loves to grow.
This is why the professionals are so important. They aren't just there to clean up a mess. They are there to execute a systematic plan, to literally deconstruct the damage before it has a chance to get any worse.
And that plan really boils down to a three-phase process. Phase 1, emergency water extraction. Get all the standing water out now. Phase 2 is the science part, structural drying and constant monitoring to deal with all that hidden moisture. And finally, Phase 3 is complete property restoration, rebuilding and repairing anything that was damaged.
And this isn't just some random company's checklist. This whole process is guided by something called the IICRC 500 standards. You can think of it as the official industry-wide rulebook for how to do this job right every single time.
Now, this brings us to what I think is the most fascinating part of all of this. Properly drying a house isn't just about pointing a bunch of big fans at the wet spots. No, there is a real, legitimate science to making a structure completely dry again.
So, the science is called psychrometrics. It's a bit of a mouthful, I know, but it's basically the study of how air, temperature, and moisture all relate to each other. By understanding and manipulating these factors, restoration pros can create the absolute perfect drying environment. They can calculate exactly how much equipment they need and exactly where to put it to pull moisture out of your home as quickly and efficiently as possible. So just remember, when you see all that equipment running and making a ton of noise, it's not just guesswork. It's a very carefully calculated application of physics, all designed to save your home.
And to apply that physics, they use some pretty impressive tech. We're talking thermal imaging cameras that can literally see hidden pockets of moisture behind your walls.
They use special moisture meters that can measure water deep inside dense materials like concrete and wood. And of course, you've got the workhorses, those commercial-grade dehumidifiers and air movers that control the air, plus HEPA air scrubbers that act like giant filters, capturing nasty airborne stuff like mold spores.
And the job isn't considered done just because it looks dry. It's done when the data says it's done. As one industry pro put it, we monitor moisture levels daily until readings confirm complete dryness. If moisture returns, we return. It's all about that data-driven proof. That's real accountability.
Okay, so the emergency is over. The house is finally dry. Phew! But what happens now? Now come all those big questions about insurance, about the costs, and about what it really takes to get your home back to normal.
One of the biggest points of confusion for homeowners is always insurance. So here's the general rule of thumb. Your policy will almost always cover sudden and accidental damage, like that pipe that just bursts out of nowhere. What it typically will not cover are gradual problems, stuff that happens because of poor maintenance, like that super slow leak under the sink that you kind of ignored for a few months.
And all of this, the cost, the hassle, the insurance calls, it all leads to the one question that every homeowner eventually asks. Is hiring a professional company to do all this really worth it?
Well, let's talk about the real cost of cutting corners. If you try to DIY a cleanup like this, you are running a huge risk of missing that hidden moisture we've been talking about, and that can lead to structural rot, foundation problems, and, of course, mold. The real value of bringing in a pro isn't just the cleanup itself, it's the prevention of all that catastrophic secondary damage. It's about protecting the value of your biggest investment and making sure your family has a safe, healthy home to live in.
So, I'll leave you with one simple but honestly critical question. Right now, this very second, do you know where your home's main water shutoff valve is? Could you find it and turn it off in less than a minute? Because knowing the answer to that is the single most important first step you can take to protect your home from all of this unseen damage.